This is a makeup look that I wore for a recent group photo shoot that I did, and I love how this look turned out, so I wanted to show you guys how I did it in a fun little voiceover style tutorial, so let's get right into it. I'm applying moisturizer first because I'm about to go in with the Aqua lifting cream, and this product works best when it's applied on top of freshly moisturized skin. This dual action lifting cream helps lift, smooth skin texture, and improve elasticity over time. And you want to apply it upwards in circular motions across your face to help encourage that lifting effect, and you can immediately feel it start working. I noticed a little bit of a tightening and tingling sensation, but I also really love how smooth it makes my skin look, so I find that it works really great as a primer too. Once you've applied it, you want to let it dry down completely for a few minutes before going on top with makeup. It feels super lightweight on the skin and makeup layers beautifully on top. This cream is powered by e.l.f. peptide technology, which helps improve skin elasticity over time. This product has been such a game changer for me, and I think you guys would really love it too. And they also offer a 90-day money-back guarantee, so you can check it out using my link down below and the code Angela15 to save. Thank you to Aqua for sponsoring this part of the video, and now let's get into the rest of the makeup look. For foundation, I'm using the newer Ilia Blurring Skin Concealer. I have been loving this as a foundation. It looks super smooth on the skin, and I think the color match is like perfect for me and my really fair skin. Then I'm grabbing the Makeup by Mario Shaping Stick in Fair and doing a little bit of a contour with that. I can tend to have such a heavy hand with products like this, so I'm starting with just a little bit around my cheekbones, and then I'm blending that out with the Beauty 109. And then so I wouldn't have a heavy hand while applying this, I picked up some of the product just from the stick to apply on my forehead. Next, I'm grabbing my favorite under eye brightener. This is the Catrice one, and I think it's like $6. I've hit pan on this, and I'm applying that with the Beauty A506, which is the perfect small little angled concealer brush to fit under the eyes and just the entire eye area. Next is cream blush, and I have been watching so much Rose and Ben on TikTok, and she's really good at just using color corrector and like changing her foundations and her blush shades and stuff, so I've been playing around a little bit with that. So I have this Saie blush in the shade Lady, I believe, that I really like, but sometimes it pulls a little bit too warm on me, so I've been mixing it with this e.l.f. blue color corrector. I mix those two on the back of my hand, and the blue just really cools down and kind of mutes that warmth in the Saie blush, and it gives me like a beautiful cool toned mauve blush shade that looks really good on my skin. For a little bit of under eye concealer, I grabbed the Natasha Denona I Glam Serum Concealer in the shade R2. And I didn't really need a lot of this because I did apply that under eye brightener, but I'm just applying a good dot under my eyes. And at the same time, I'm going to prime my eyes with my go-to eyeshadow primer. This is the Rare Beauty one. And then I'm just blending both of those out with that same BK Beauty concealer brush. So this photo shoot was going to be outside in the sun. We were kind of hot and sweaty the whole time, so I knew I needed a good powder. So of course I grabbed my Huda Beauty powder in the shade Poundcake, and I've really been liking a fluffy brush like this to apply my powder and just a light dusting all over. I believe this is the Beauty N20. It was a collaboration with Nikki LaRose, but I love how this brush does not apply too much powder, and I can be nice and precise with where I'm placing it too. Now let's zoom in and do an eyeshadow look. So I started with the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes original palette, since this is now back in stock and I think permanently part of his line. So because I never got this palette the first time around, I wanted to use it today and get some more use out of it. So I started with the more cool toned matte shade on a big fluffy eye brush, and I just applied that throughout my entire crease a few times to build up the shade and just get it nice and pigmented, because I find that these matte shades are a little bit softer, but they do build up nicely. And then I grabbed a smaller fluffy brush with that same shade and applied that across my entire lower lash line. I realized that a lot of the brushes I used today are from the BK Beauty and Angie Hot and Flashy set, so I'll link that whole set down below for you because I've really been loving these brushes. And then I grabbed that lightest matte shade on a medium fluffy brush, and I used that to kind of softly clean up the edges of my eyeshadow. So I'm using this to soften the edges so it doesn't look so harsh of where my eyeshadow starts and stops. Then I'm grabbing the deepest matte shade in the palette and I'm stamping that on the outer part of my eyelid, and then I'm slowly going to work that shade up to my outer crease area. So I like to start with a stamping motion just to get that shadow applied, and then with that same blending brush I can start doing some more blending circular motions. And pretty much with this step you can blend out this darkest shade, and then if you need to blend, I'd recommend going back in with that first shade we started with, that cool toned brown, and just using that to blend and kind of merge everything together. And then I took a little bit more of that deepest brown shade, but not not a lot, and I just applied that across my lower lash line. Now I wanted a sparkly shadow for my eyelid, but the shimmers in the Mario palette just weren't really what I had in my mind. So I grabbed my trusty Natasha Denona I Nude palette, and I grabbed the shade Delilah on my finger, and this is one of my favorite shimmers from this palette. So I just tapped this all over my entire eyelid. See, I wanted this more like medium minky brown color, and the Mario palette just didn't have it. It had something different, but again, it just wasn't what I wanted. So then once that shimmer is laid down, I like to go back to my first fluffy brush and just kind of blend around that shimmer in the crease to make sure there's no harsh edges and everything looks nice and smooth. And then I grabbed a nude liner. This one is by Makeup Forever in Boundless Bisque, and I applied that in my waterline. And then for a highlight shade, I grabbed this second shade in the palette and I popped that in my inner corner and right under my brow bone. And then I gave my lashes a quick curl and applied some mascara. I think I used a mixture of 2 mascaras today that they're kind of running low. I need to just get rid of them, honestly. I was still waiting for my Sephora order with my Tower 28 mascara to come in, so really any mascara will do. And then I still felt like my eyes needed a little bit of definition, but I didn't want to grab a typical liner and do like a line on my lash line. So I grabbed the Urban Decay at 24/7 liquid stick in this dark brown shade, and I stamped that along my tight line area, pretty much along the base of my top lashes to really give that depth and definition. It's such a small step, but I really feel like it does make a difference. And then I realized I still haven't done my eyebrows yet, so I actually did those off camera, and then I felt like I needed a little bit more blush, but again, I didn't want to overdo it because this was for a photo shoot, so I didn't want to have a heavy hand with the blush. So I grabbed a formula I know and trust. This is the Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush, and I used the shade Pink Flush, and I used a very small brush and a very light hand just to apply a little bit more blush to my cheeks, and I think it was exactly what it needed. For my lips, I kept it super simple because again, I didn't want anything too harsh or crazy, and I didn't really want to mess with any lip liner. So I grabbed my Makeup Forever pencil in Endless Cacao and just added a bit of a shadow under my bottom lip, and then I applied the Patrital lip balm in Creme Brulee. I finished off with a little bit of highlighter. I'm using NARS Eros. This has been my go-to highlighter recently, and I'm still using one of the Details by Tati brushes. This is like the fun shaped highlighter one, and I gotta say, I do really like it for highlighter. And that is the final makeup look. I do really like how it turned out. It didn't feel like too much for me, but I really love the sparkly brown eyeshadow. I want to say thank you again to Akoa for sponsoring the beginning portion of this video. Again, if you want to check out their dual action lifting cream, my link will be down below, and you can use the code Angela15 to save. I'll see you guys in the next one.